mind thing is you have to win.
Ill intent, violence, physicality, pain. Enough is enough.
All right, welcome back to the Just Win podcast. Get ready for another exhilarating podcast episode where we talk about what happened today. How did the Raiders lose 20-15 to the Rams in a weird game? I mean, it's not like the Raiders got dominated, but they did lose, and I believe every point for the Rams came off takeaways. Is that correct?
That's correct, man. That's correct. It lived up to its billing. It's definitely this game was definitely not high on the list of games to watch today, and it was accurately not really watchable. But both teams are missing, key offensive pieces, a lot of injuries. Both teams aren't very good, and it was a close game. And I guess you give the Raiders defense credit for hanging in there. I think they probably deserve better in this game, but hard to overcome 4 Gardner Minshew turnovers. That was the story of the game.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Give the defense a lot of credit. I mean, I thought they came out, they played hard, they were lights out on third down. They're playing with a ton of energy, but it's just hard to overcome when you get a short field and you have to defend after those takeaways. And they gave the Raiders offense, who was sputtering throughout the whole game, a chance to win in the end, and they couldn't do it.
Yeah, I thought the defense was fine in this one. They had a couple bad plays, and Kyron Williams' first touchdown, they missed a couple tackles, but you're gonna have a couple breakdowns throughout the course of the game. But they gave the offense every single chance in the world to win this one, and continuously they just failed over and over again. And the primary culprit was Gardner Minshew. I mean, Aidan O'Connell got hurt late in that first quarter, and he came in the game and he stunk it up in this one. I mean, 4 turnovers, 3 interceptions, a lost fumble that was returned for a touchdown. As you mentioned, Ted, every score the Rams had came off of one of Minshew's turnovers, and he was awful in this one. I mean, he was pretty bad, and the offense just really didn't have a shot. I mean, the ground game was solid in this one. Alexander Mattison almost rushed for 100 yards. He looked pretty good. Brock Bowers had a pretty great game in my opinion. The offensive line had some issues. The pass rush for the Rams was going throughout the game, but Minshew was awful. And I mean, it tanked the offense, and they really didn't have much of a shot with him playing the way he did in this one, and squandered what I thought was a pretty good game for the defense.
Yeah, and Gardner afterwards said he might be pressing. I don't know what I mean. He mentioned like doing as many interceptions in his whole career, and he had 9 last year in 17 games with the Colts. He got 8 already this year. A couple of fumbles, a couple of lost fumbles. I think he has 3 fumbles total.
You got 10. 10
10
turnovers in a row.
10 turnovers total, right? So I'm just saying, clearly something's. I don't know how good he was ever, but he was definitely not this bad. I mean, I don't think it's a confidence thing, or maybe like you say, he's pressing, but clearly it's not getting better. I think the time off, he got benched and was able to come back today and maybe a fresh start, but the fresh start did not do much for him. So clearly, and again, this team last 2 weeks has really missed Jacoby Myers. I mean, without him, without Devontae Adams, there's not much in this receiving core. I think Trey Tucker is a nice young player, but we've seen the last 2 weeks when he's going against number 1 cornerbacks, it's a lot different than when it was before that. So I think the trickle down effect with Jacoby Myers' injury is huge. So I just think any chance they have of scoring points in the future, he has to come back at some point, or else. I mean, Brock, like Tashan mentioned, Brock Bowers is doing everything you can ask for. I think 10 catches on 14 targets. The teams are definitely scheming against him. He's definitely the main thing that defenses are worried about coming into the game, and he's still doing damage. And so, just he's a really impressive young player.
Yeah, I think this whole offense is built around him, rightfully so. Right now, just finding different ways to get him open, creating picks for him. I mean, what a draft pick he is. Like we talked about it. Like he's right off the bat one of the top tight ends in the league already. And the only reason why this offense had some life today, I was actually surprised at seeing the final rushing numbers. They had like over 120 rushing yards. just
Yep.
because
Yep. I mean, Alexander Mattison has. I mean, he only averaged like 4 yards a carry, but I thought he was solid.
Yeah. Well, they had a 25% running success rate, which is very low and not that many explosive runs, but I guess they just popped off with a few like 9, 10 yard runs here and there. But that was pretty surprising to me. But I mean, you know, like we kind of criticize the run pass thing, but I guess like when Gardner Minshew is trying to turn the ball over every other play, I guess you go and run pass isn't that bad anymore. But this was a game of blown opportunities. They got into the red zone a bunch of times, and in the red zone, man, it was bad. It was ugly. I believe in the third quarter, they got into a red zone. It was 3rd and 8, and the Raiders had a screen pass called to the left, but they added an option to throw the shallow if it's open. And I think the shallow is DJ Turner, but there was a heavy blitz call, and Minshew throws the shallow off his back foot to DJ Turner, and he gets hit before the line of scrimmage. But the screen was wide open, like nobody was near the screen. That would have been a walk-in touchdown. So that was a blown opportunity. And later in the game, that last drive when they got into the red zone, on that Trey Tucker run, it was Brock Bowers' job to kind of pirouette around and be the lead blocker for him. But a defensive lineman got his hands on him, so he came out late. So both him and Colton Miller ended up blocking the corner when one of them should have peeled off to block another person. That would have been a walk-in touchdown if you got the proper blocks. And then finally on the Brock Bowers pass on 3rd down that was short of the end zone, um, Trey Tucker was supposed to create some interference. It was supposed to be kind of a pick route, but Trey Tucker didn't do anything. He just kind of like stood there and kind of put his hands up like it was already a touchdown. And it just allowed the man covering Bowers to just get right on top of him and tackle him. So, like looking back at it, people talk about Getsy and creativity, but I think Getsy tries to be creative. He tries a lot of different things, and some of his designs are actually pretty good. But this has been a problem since the Bears. It's just like the little details in the execution just isn't there. And, I don't know how you separate that from the coaching or the players, but those little details has killed the Raiders today.
Yeah, I mean, this looks like a poorly coached team right now. I mean, they have a ton of penalties today, turnovers, and that's killed them. These last 3 weeks, I believe they're first in NFL and first in a bad way in terms of having the most penalties the last 3 weeks, and I think they're tied for third in turnovers the last 3 weeks, and that falls on Antonio Pierce. The buck stops with him ultimately, and I mean, they're one of the younger teams in the league, but that's not really an excuse. That's come up a lot lately, but you can't have stuff like that happen. Self-inflicted mistakes and penalties, and I think they made it into the red zone 4 times today, and every time they settled for a field goal, it's just bad football. And even with Minshew playing like he was, and the offensive line having some issues, like they left a lot of stuff on the table today. And this clearly is not a good Rams team. They only had one win coming into this game. Cooper Kupp didn't play. And again, I mean, the defense gave them every single chance they had in the world to win this one, and it just couldn't pull it off. And I understand the criticism of Luke Getsy. He moved upstairs this week, called the plays from the press box after calling him from the sideline the first 6 games of the season. Didn't seem to make much of a difference, but I don't know, man. Like like when Minshew is playing like this, I don't really know what you're supposed to do. Like he was terrible today. Like that was like as bad as Jimmy Garoppolo was last year. Shouts to Jimmy. He was on the sideline watching today.
Shout out to Jimmy.
Yeah, he was on the sideline. He's,
What's
he's
up?
still
Yeah.
getting
What's up?
he's still getting paid.
Hey Jimmy,
I don't think I don't,
this
I don't
this
think
looks
we ever saw Jimmy look like this.
this look familiar, Jimmy? This look like last year a little bit. Hey, what's up? What's up, Jimmy? How you doing?
Lord.
I don't think we saw him look this bad last year. Like this
Oh, we had some bad. Oh no.
bro. But listen, man, 4 turnovers in like 3 quarters of action, and he
Uh,
only completed like what 15 out of 34. Oh my
like,
god! Like this
yeah,
is
I
bad.
mean, it
This
is
is
bad.
bad.
We're
This
talking
is really
about
bad.
like, I mean, it's like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look, you guys know I don't think a lot about I don't have a very high opinion about Gardner Minshew and his play. Maybe he's a good person. Just talking about his play, but
Maybe he's
but all I'm
maybe
saying,
he's a good person.
Make your point.
all I'm saying is this is even the way he's playing right now is even like 2 grades below how he usually plays. Like he's in like a mental vortex right now that he can't get out of. Like it's
Mental vortex.
But maybe something happened. Maybe like he got hit at some point and he can't see. Maybe his vision's got
he can't
blurred. But
see
I
when he's
can't
I,
driving.
see.
I mean, he's not. I mean, not only is he not seeing the field well, but also like throws he's missing. I mean, like, and some of the, I mean, just like everything, every mistake he makes just kind of magnifies. I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if he's pressing, but it's a bad combination when you're missing guys who are open, and then you're also throwing the ball really off target and making other, turnovers. So just it's a downward spiral with him right now. So I mean, and again, I'll say this: Aidan O'Connell was not. I'm not saying not much better, but the first quarter they were in no danger of scoring with him. So I don't know if the results a lot different with Aidan in there. I mean, obviously we won't have 4
Hey,
turnovers,
there's 0 turnovers when
but they
Aiden
weren't.
was.
But they weren't scoring.
I'm
So I
kidding.
just don't. I think
It was
the
like 2 drives.
whatever it was. But I'm saying the receivers are definitely part of this. I mean, the receivers are not making life easier, and I think Gardner definitely is making way too many mistakes where you have to be concerned about going forward if you can even put him back out there.
Yeah, and let's talk about. I mean, we'll talk about what they can do moving forward. I guess on another podcast. But I mean, Aiden O'Connell's broken thumb. Is that confirmed?
That's what the league sources said. He said to after the game, we asked him if there's any diagnosis. He said, "Yeah, it hurts. It hurts a lot," and so he'll get more tests tomorrow. But I saw him talking to Mark Davis at one point, and I think he was pretty much telling him like, yeah, he's kind of screwed. So I think we'll see tomorrow the official diagnosis. But I think everyone here thinks it's a broken thumb.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
and I don't. I mean, in terms of timetable, I don't know how long it takes for a thumb to heal, but it'd be more of a long-term injury if it isn't broken indeed.
yeah. Well, that leaves the only other option as Carter Bradley right now. So I don't know if fans want to see Carter Bradley in there, but
Some of them
um,
do. Some of
yeah.
them do.
At this point, they want to see you out there throwing the ball more than Gardner
Yeah.
Minshew. So
Hey, I got it. Got it. I started throwing again
you got
last
you
week.
got you got nothing. But all right,
But let's talk about Antonio Pierce and the game management decisions. One, 2 field goals in the red zone. How do you guys feel about kicking those 2 field goals in the red zone when you still it puts you in the same situation basically?
the
I
last
mean,
one
I
definitely.
think like the last like the 4th and 9, like the issue for me was more so the penalty. Like you're 4 from 4. I think it's fine to go for it there, but you get a false start and it's 4th and 9. And the way Minshew was playing, like who really thinks they were getting that 4th and 9? Like honestly, like, they can go for it just to say you went for it, but like that doesn't mean you're gonna get it. I mean, like I had no reason to believe they were going to convert a 4th and 9 in that situation, and
But if
so
you have no
I,
confidence that he's going to make the 4th and 9, you have confidence for him to drive the length of the field and get into the end zone
I mean,
later
it
on.
doesn't necessarily have to be the length of the field. I mean, depending on how the defense plays, but I know they ended up being backed up, and that was a tough situation for the offense to get out of. But I don't know. Like, if you go for it on 4th and 9 and he throws another fucking interception, like, what's the difference? You know what I mean? Like, I guess the Rams have to drive the length of the field, or they're backed up, and that makes it tougher for them. But I don't know. I mean, Pierce has had some questionable decisions for sure this year on 4th down, but I don't really think that was one that's worth putting too much into.
I think it's a tough one, obviously, because you can't have much confidence on 4th and 9. But then again, what's the difference between being down 8 and being down 5? I mean, and if you don't make it at 4th and 9, they're backed up in their end. Maybe you can make a play, but I just don't know what the upside is. I know you got the ball. He said I had all 3 timeouts left. We got the ball back, so it kind of worked.
You didn't even use the timeouts properly.
Well, I'm saying, but they got the
I
ball
mean, they
back.
got the
So
ball back with like 90
yeah,
seconds left. I mean,
yeah,
that's enough.
they got the ball back. So I think that in his mind, that validates his decision. But again, for me, it's like when you're down, you're down 8 and being down 5. I don't know what the big difference is really. You still have to score a touchdown to win. Why not go for it then? And again, I get it. 4th and 9. they're going to double cover Brock. They're probably going to have a guy, a Mattison, coming out of the backfield. Then I don't know where you're going to throw the ball to, but and Harrison Bryant. That's another thing. Harrison Bryant actually was a big injury. He left the game in the third quarter, and he really was their number two target early on because even the tight ends gave the Rams some problems more than the receivers Raiders have did. So, I mean, people may not think much about it, but his absence, his injury was a big deal. Also, Harrison Bryant was a viable target who was lost.
Well, here's the problem. So the Rams got the ball back with 2:46 left.
Yep.
So you have the 2-minute warning. You have your 3 timeouts, but AP just let them waste all that time. Call the timeouts and force them to make a decision. Maybe they decide to be aggressive and pass the ball. We've seen plenty of coaches do that. Like take those timeouts before the 2-minute warning and see what happens. And you don't get that time back. So to me, it was an improper use of
I
timeouts for sure.
mean, their issue at the end wasn't really. I mean, they got the ball at 139 left. Like they had plenty of time.
Okay,
Minshew just couldn't throw. Like, like he
yeah.
was bad. Like I don't know. Like
Well,
I don't see the end result being any different if they get an extra 20 seconds, let's say, because he uses his timeout different. Like
an
that
extra 20
wasn't really the
I'm
issue.
not saying they win with extra 20 seconds, but it's to me, it's about the process. Like you want that 20
That's
seconds.
cool, I guess, but like they weren't scoring there. Like the way Minshew was playing, they were not. They just weren't doing it. Like I just don't think it was happening personally. Whether it was at 4th and 9 or after they got the ball back after the punt, I don't know. I just don't think the time that was left really made that much of a difference, to be honest.
At one point early on, we were trying to figure out who was the emergency quarterback because Aidan went out, and Jacoby Myers normally the emergency quarterback, but he wasn't playing. And then Carter Bradley was in the practice squad. He wasn't the emergency third guy. So we're trying to figure out what happens if Gardner gets hurt. What do they do? The answer was they would have brought back Aidan, and he would hand the ball off every time. And maybe in
Yeah,
hindsight,
that's
that
what I
was
figured when he came out in his whole pads. I figured he'd just be the handoff guy
yeah,
if
right.
they needed to get there.
And
Um,
considering Gardner's 4 turnovers, maybe that wouldn't have been a bad alternative. Just have a guy hand off the ball every time because clearly Gardner was just not able to make plays.
yeah, but I mean, back to the process thing. I mean, I just think like we've seen this bad process at the end of games from Antonio Pierce. It doesn't seem like it's getting better. And the 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 TV commentators said, I mean, and we talked about this. There's definitely a game management guy in his ear. So I'm trying to like figure
Who?
out, does he just ignore this game
No,
management guy, or
I
do the
think
Raiders need a new game management guy?
I think I've heard. Man, I don't like put a sport game management guy under the bus. I heard there's an issue with the timing of the messages, like the decision making process. I heard that the guy who's making those decisions is not getting his ideas out early enough in the process. So I think that makes it take a little longer than it should. And maybe Antonio then is making a rush decision at some point, but I'm not getting him off the hook. Clearly, there's a problem here. I don't think that problem was the reason they lost today. I think they wouldn't have won. I mean, this again, the offense is really, really bad with these quarterbacks and the lack of top receivers.
Yeah, I mean, like you can. It's still fair to criticize it. I just don't really think it's that big of a deal. Like I just think in comparison to how bad the quarterback is, like that's the main issue first and foremost. And the answer is not on the roster because again, like even before he broke his thumb, Aidan O'Connell was not playing well at all. Like he was sailing passes just like Minshew was. So they need a quarterback. And looking at free agency next year, there's not really an answer there. They're gonna have to draft somebody, and it looks like they'll be bad enough to draft somebody. I mean, according to Tankathon, they would have the 7th overall pick if the season ended today. I don't think they're suddenly going to go on a surge here, so they should be picking somewhere in the top 10, and there's a few guys that could be available there. So they'll have a shot to get their guy this offseason, but I just don't think the guy's on the roster right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the quarterback sucks. I get it, but it doesn't mean like you just ignore the process everywhere else because your quarterback
I
sucks.
mean, the
You know what I'm
process
saying?
thing sounds cool, but like, what is? I just don't think like what was different about that last drive if they have an extra 20 seconds.
But I'm saying the goal. If you're a coach, your goal is to get that 20 seconds for your team,
Okay,
and
but
doing it.
what changes about their ability to move the ball that final situation if they have an extra 20 seconds?
All I'm talking about is the process. It's a bad process.
I'm saying the reality is they aren't going anywhere with that quarterback play, like the way he was playing.
So screw it. Like they should always just punt the ball. Then, like they have
Yeah,
a bad
yeah, I
quarterback.
mean, yeah.
Ball. Like it doesn't matter at the end, right? But I'm saying the coach's responsibility is to give the team on the field the best chance they can. What they do with that chance is on them. And
I think we all agree that Antonio Pierce can and should get better at the game management decisions. I think we all agree on that. I think we're saying today that didn't really matter. Is that fair?
Did not
yeah,
matter.
we
He
can all
like the
agree
way
with
that
that.
Minshew was playing, it
Agree with
did
that.
not fucking matter. They could have 10 minutes left when they got the ball at the end of the game, down 5. They were not scoring a touchdown. That was not happening with the way that he was playing football.
There's some kind of break between the mind and the arm and the mechanism where he sees it and throws it. Something's going wrong in that process where you actually don't want him throwing the ball. And more time is probably a bad thing.
All right. So we have communication issues between the game management guy and Antonio Pierce, and communication issues with the synapses and in Gardner Minshew's brain, apparently. So this is all headed towards a bad direction, and it seems like the fans are all in on a tank right now. It
Yeah,
seems like.
I think they're in this place now where you have so many injuries, not only defense but also with Jacoby, where you can say, "Yeah, we're doing our best. We're playing our guys." And obviously, Max is out there busting his ass. Nate Hobbs made some plays today. Spillane. So guys are busting their ass, but you're trying your best, but you're still losing because of the lack of talent, the lack because due to injuries and stuff. So, um, to me, that's not the worst possible path forward if you need a quarterback in next year's draft. I mean, I think you're not tanking. You're clearly playing and coaching to win, but if you don't win and you wind up with a top 5 draft pick, I don't know. Is that the worst possible thing?
Yeah, it's not. Um, would you say this? Would you count this game as part of an elegant tank? Is this an elegant tank if you
No,
bring
I
it to
think
the end?
I think today was the one that really pointed out as the one you had to win if you had any hopes of kind of getting back in this thing because the Rams were not good and they're clearly hurt. They barely won it. I mean, think about it. They won a game by 5 points and the other quarterback had 4 turnovers. So that's not a good team. And obviously, they also have injuries. So I think the Raiders might. This was the one they had to have if they're really going to try some miraculous turnaround to get back in the mix. But now you're 2-5. You face the Chiefs, undefeated next week. That's rough. And then next week you're at the Bengals, who again, Bengals are not having a great year, but at home that's a pretty tough ticket to punch. So the odds are you're 2-7 going into the bye week, and that does not seem like a recipe for any kind of hope as far as making a run this year. So I think this was the week they really look, hey man, this is it. This is our time to make a stand. We'll push forward from here, but we need this one, and they didn't get it. So I think now it's really kind of a I don't want to say hopeless, but definitely a dire situation.
Yeah, and the more and more I watch Cam Ward and Shadir Sanders, might not be a bad year to have a top 5 pick. I think the Raiders are, as of right now. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter that much, but they're number 6 right now.
I think they're 7. I think they're 7 going to take it
7.
down. But
They'll be better. They'll be better in 2 weeks. They'll be higher in 2 weeks. So
Okay.
yeah.
All
all
right.
right.
Well, that's all we have for you today. Thank you for joining us live. We go live after every game, and we will talk to you guys on Friday when we preview the Raiders game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Maybe the elegant tank gets going. Maybe the Chiefs get revenge for last year. We will see, but we will talk to you guys more about that on Friday. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and like and leave a comment, rate on Apple and Spotify. Talk to you guys later.
All right.
Very
Hasta la
sure.
vista.
Peace. The Jets are losing right now, so congrats, I guess.
Oh man. Congrats to who? The Raider
I don't
fans?
know. The Raiders fans mad at Devontae, I suppose.
He's not helpless, huh? All right. We'll see. It's a long season. Hang in there, Raider fans. Hang in there.